Friends and fans, it's James here. This is Habs Tonight. This is the weekly roundtable. I'm with the Autour de la Ligue crew. Did I get that right, Annik and Shayne? Did I say that?
Perfect.
C'est bon. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm feeling myself a little bit because the Habs are on a winning streak. Not a 2-game winning streak, but a 3-game winning streak. And it's unbelievable to say that after the first half of the season that we had. But here we are, 3-game winning streak, 5 games into the Martin St. Louis era. It's a pretty exciting time. We wanted to just talk about some of the things that maybe you guys have noticed over this 3-game winning streak. Did I mention we're on a 3-game winning streak? And maybe I'll start with you, Shayne. Just what are some of the things that you're seeing now under the St. Louis regime that we might not have seen under the Dominic Ducharme regime that are impacting our ability to win games?
I mean, the biggest thing has to be passion, right? The guys actually want to play. It seems like they want to play, and St. Louis has said it so many times. They're having fun. They're going back to the roots. That's what makes us all love hockey, is because it's fun, and the boys are having a good time. They're gelling, and they play for the logo in front of them. So all good things can happen when that's the case.
And Nick, 50% fans at the Bell Center yesterday
10,
against the Leafs. Yeah.
50% fans, and as of March 15th, 14th officially, full barn, baby.
Full barn, baby.
It's gonna be great to have the fans back, but to comment on what Shayne said, the boys are having fun, and that was Martin St. Louis' number one thing. Go back to hockey, go back to basics, and you can really tell that the pressure is off the guys. I mean, there's nothing to lose at this point. Go have fun, go play hockey, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
Yes, and fun hockey doesn't just benefit the players; it benefits us, the fans. It is at times it's been hard to watch this hockey throughout this season, but lo and behold, the last few games have been quite enjoyable. And one aspect of that, which I should mention, is overtime. So obviously, a very defensive-minded mindset. When we were playing in the overtime, we'd often come out with a single point. And now we're actually winning games in overtime. And I think a lot of this has to do with the style of hockey. And Shayne, maybe just walk me through what you're noticing in overtime that's a little different than what, again, might have been happening under Dominic's watch.
Yeah, it just seems a lot looser in the sense that guys have a lot more creative freedom. These guys are not stupid. Their hockey IQ is through the roof. So if you give them enough space, like on a 3-on-3 situation, they're going to think of some things that the coach maybe couldn't think of, right? So St. Louis has said it many times again that he wants to give the guys some freedom to think and assess plays however they see fit, and they're doing that. I mean, that Petrie to Caufield pass, we've seen it before. We know it works, and it worked again. Wow, mind-blowing. So, I mean, it's just scrapping the systems and going with concepts. I think that's what he's calling it, right? Scrapping the system, going with the concepts, and letting the boys play. That's it. It's really that simple.
I think what's fun too is it's different to see every time we went to overtime in the past, you would see the other team putting their top line, their top guys, and we would always come out with a D and 2 random fourth liners. And right now we're putting our best guys on the ice to start overtime. We're putting pressure. We're making it last. We're not giving up that goal within the first minute of overtime or the first play. It's actually going the full overtime, if not in shootouts. So it's different to see, and it's fun to see that Martin St. Louis is trusting his young kids to just go out there, right?
Yeah, Nick, you're actually killing it with segues today. So a real top line is one of our thoughts that we wanted to share. So we've seen some consistency now since Toffoli's been gone. Anderson, Suzuki, Cole Caufield playing on that top line. Huge results. Guys trading assists and goals with each other like we saw yesterday with Caufield and Anderson. Beautiful to watch. Top line. Do you expect that this is what we're going to see throughout the rest of the season, this identifiable top line? And we can maybe talk about the second line after when Durant comes back. But that top line, are we expecting this is now codified, solidified in the mix for the rest of the season?
For the foreseeable future, I don't think there's any point in changing that, really. I mean, that first line combined for 7 points yesterday, right? Caufield and Anderson had 3, and Suzuki had an assist. So there's really no point in changing that. And St. Louis said it in his presser that he sees them staying together for a long time. And they're all 3 of them are still very young. So if you can build that chemistry from the get-go, like from an early point here, further down the line could be insane.
We're looking at this top line, and right now I'm looking at Gallagher, Tatar, and Danault in the rear mirror. Like that top line versus this one, night and day. So again, it's fun to see an actual top line that won't be changed every 2 games, because that's what we've been seeing for the past 3 seasons. It's constant change in the lineup. So if we can finally have a top line that competes against every single team, that's the dream. So right now we're seeing it, and we saw that last night. No need for change.
Yeah, built for speed, and I think that's one of the things where they looked at Tyler Toffoli and went, great player, but long term we don't necessarily need him as much as we need players like Anderson or the grit of a player like Brendan Gallagher, and we'll talk about him in a moment. But I want to mention the Un-Tradeables. So obviously there's been some trade showcasing going on, especially on the D line. And we'll look at what happened with Sherratt and Petrie in minutes in a minute. But Josh Anderson mentioned in our own Habs Tonight interview with Drew Deeks and Nick Kyprios from Sportsnet, the fact that Josh Anderson is untradeable, the combination of speed, size, skill, that is something that we simply don't want to leave off the table as we rebuild the team over the next couple of years. And yes, I use the word rebuild. Do you agree with Nick that Josh is untradeable? This is one of the few pieces that we can hold on to going through the next season or two.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, Nick did say, he did mention though that if the right offer was on the table, something that you absolutely cannot pass up, like something that would move your rebuild forward by many years, then you kind of have to consider it, right? But if there isn't, then there's no point in trading him, right? Of course, you look at Arizona, what they're doing with their rebuild, they're just letting everybody go, right? Chychrun was their best defenseman last season, and he's going to be traded soon, probably. Dvorak gone, Connor Garland gone. So they just sold everybody. We're in a position where we still have really good pieces to build off of. So there's no need to trade a guy like Anderson unless a team overpays by a mile. Then, I mean, you kind of have to do it.
It's a big contract. And I'll ask you this, and Nick, if you want to comment on Josh, that's fine. But what about Gallagher? Is he also untradeable? I've seen rumblings on the internet, for what it's worth, that, he's sort of one of those core pieces they want to keep and not necessarily just fire sale away.
To touch on Josh Anderson quickly, I mean, if you would have told me a few months ago, if he's playing on the second line, third line, like he was at the start of the season, yes, he would have been a tradable asset for me if the price was right. But right now, if you're putting him on that first line and you see what he's capable of doing, no. And let's not forget, this guy is also a leader on and off the ice. He's got the potential of maybe wearing a C one day, which we still don't know what's happening with that. That's another topic. But for right now, untouchable unless it's an offer of a lifetime, like Shane said. Mm-hmm. As for Brendan Gallagher, obviously Gallagher's the heart and soul of this team. We would never want to see him leave. Contract wise, I don't see anybody picking that up. It would be pretty surprising. But Brendan Gallagher might not, we said this before the show started, he might not always be on your score sheet, but he's going to make those little plays or big plays that are going to lead to goals being on the score sheet. Yesterday with Mike Hoffman is the perfect example of going through, making those little plays, passing and setting it up against St. Louis when he stopped that empty netter, didn't even crash in the net, purposely got up, led to Cole Caufield tying the game. So he's also a leader in the room. He's potentially going to wear the C. There's so many little aspects from Brendan Gallagher that, for me, he's an untradeable. I know everybody's saying like, oh, he's not performing. Take a look at off the score sheet and what he does. He's a valuable asset to this team, and you're going to need to build around veterans if you're rebuilding. He's your guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, little aspects for sure. I mean, not to use a pun, but Martin St. Louis, the whole concept here being, Gallagher, Cole Caufield, not the biggest guys, but also the kind of mentality that Gallagher has is somewhat similar to what St. Louis played with, that raw energy, right? And that's the kind of thing where I think you got to have culture builders, that people maintain the culture. I think that's often why people say Carey Price, other than his skill, is just someone you need to keep because of the culture that he represents to that team. So really exciting to see if we can keep those guys, still build around them, and maybe not turn this into a slog like I think Phoenix will be, but maybe a 2 to 3 year turnaround with some continuity, bring in some new players, and try not to win too many games. I don't know. That's the one question here is how do we do this without, getting too good and having a 4-game win streak? But maybe we'll finish on that. So let's talk about the trade showcase. Something that really caught my attention was how many minutes Petrie and Sherratt were playing the last few games. I know against the Islanders it was 24 apiece. They're playing more than Romanov. What does that say? Like Sherratt just comes off an injury, and right away he's playing top line defensive pairing minutes. Clearly, these guys are on the market. So, other than that, do you have any observations about like anyone else that might be getting traded, or any thoughts on showcasing them too much, perhaps too many minutes? I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of this.
Yeah, it's always nerve-wracking. I mean, when you see a guy like Sherratt just coming back from an injury, playing 24 minutes a game against those big lines, and he's a physical dude, so it'd be easy for him to get injured again, and then we might not be able to trade him. He's a guy that could fetch us easily a first-round pick, maybe even more if Kent Hughes plays his cards right, and Petrie can fetch us a whole lot more. So it's that risky line of, okay, those are the best defensemen on the team, and we want to win, I guess, but I don't even know if we want to win. Do we? Like, we want to play well. We want to have fun, but at a certain point, there's really no point in trying to make the playoffs. We're already eliminated.
My guess is we'll
just finish in the middle again.
My guess is they're trying to get him out sooner rather than later. That would be my thought.
And I guess.
I've got like two different points of looking at it. So obviously Ben Sherratt being showcased, most like 90% going to be moved. It's inevitable. I mean, it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I'll be happy if obviously the return's going to be great for him. It's going to be great for our rebuild. As for Jeff Petrie, if you would have asked me a couple of weeks ago, and I even said it, this is a guy that does not want to be here. He's going to be moved. It's not going well. But as we mentioned on the postgame show yesterday, the way Jeff Petrie's been playing in the last 4 games, it's kind of turned it around a little. I mean, I know he had 5 turnovers yesterday. There's still stuff that needs to be addressed. But the way he's playing kind of turned around. So in my head, I'm kind of saying, is it going to take a little bit of time for him to get back on track? We could still use him next season. Like, let's not forget what he did in the past season. Is this just an off year? So I'm on the fence if I want Jeff Petrie to be moved or not, because it looks salvageable, but in another way, it's like if we get the right call, it's another one where I'm like, okay, well, thanks for your services, but we need the picks.
Yeah.
So kind of on the fence for Jeff Petrie right now. I'm not gonna lie.
He's still beautiful. All right. Well, if you're watching today, I just want to remind you to hit subscribe if you're new to the Habs Tonight community. Obviously, lots of great programming on this channel, post games, pre games, weekly roundups, interviews, all the good stuff. And hit that like button. Give us a thumb up. We really do appreciate it. The channel is better for it. Okay, now let's talk about goaltending, because obviously the name Carey Price was mentioned, but we've had some kind of fill-in style goaltending going on. It's actually doing really well. We've had above average goaltending save percentage. Some dirty back of the napkin math. It looks like we're outperforming what we would expect from the goaltending position. Do we also just run the table for the rest of the year with the Hamburglar and with Monty? Monty obviously playing well when he's feeling up to it, when his body's up to it. And the Hamburglar, something to prove after barely playing for 2 years. Do we just leave these guys in the mix? Allen, Carey, stay home, just rest up. Next year's a different year, and we can play you then. What do you think?
Might as well at this point, right? the season's done. Like, we were too bad in the first half, so there's no point in trying to rush Carey back to push for a playoff spot. So might as well just let him be with his family, get back in shape, get ready for next season. And for Jake Allen, I mean, obviously those two are a great tandem. We know it, but what about Montembeault? Like, he could potentially be a good backup goaltender. Hammond, who knows, maybe. So, like, if there's offers on the table for Allen, you might have to consider them, So it's it's a headache, I can't put myself in Jeff and Ken's shoes right now, but it's a tough situation, It's a good situation in a sense because you have so many goaltenders to play around with, but it's like, okay, well, now you have too many. What do you do to get back to normal? Tough call.
I think potentially whoever's playing right now has the potential of being showcased too. I mean, we know what Allen is capable of. We know that he's injured, but he could probably fetch us a good return for a team that's making a push for a playoff spot if he's back healthy. So, as you said, it's an option to consider. Montembeault's been proving himself this year. The experience that he's getting is going to carry for the rest of his career. So does he have more potential? Is this it? Is he an NHL goalie? Is he an AHL goalie? A lot of things to consider, as you said, but for now, I think you just keep doing the 50-50 or 60-40 thing between Hammond and Montembeault. Give them both a chance to play, and worst comes to worst, you're showcasing them. You get something in return at the end of the season or even by trade deadline. So it's a good thing, but a bad thing. Like you
Nick,
said.
if you had to get a jersey of one of the two players, who would you get?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to eat my words and say Samuel Montembeault because he's made me eat my words all season long.
Yeah.
So really happy for the kid. Really happy to see him get a couple W's. He's earned it and made me eat my words. So he deserves the name at the back of my jersey.
Nice. We'll get you a McNiven one next year. When. All right, let's talk about the... hit us in the comments if you want a Hamburglar jersey. Maybe we'll spring for one of these days and prize it off.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Vinny Lecavalier signs as a special advisor. So almost 10 years ago, all of Habs Nation was hoping that Vinny L would sign with the club and, be our top line scorer and raise the rafters with the banner. And it didn't happen. He went to Philadelphia and his career kind of, quickly de-escalated. So anyways, he's back with the club and he's now a special advisor, him and Nick Brobov. I don't know much about Mr. Brobov, but obviously there's some nepotism here. Him and Martin St. Louis played on the top line in Tampa Bay for many years, won a cup. And he was also a client of Kent Hughes. So I don't know how you get more nepotistic than that.
Yeah.
Now, are we building a country club atmosphere already in Habs land? Or is this something teams do to bring, again, continuity? We use that word, but also familiarity and, culture into place. What do you guys think about this hire? What is he meant to do? What kind of conversations are they having? Why is he there?
Yeah, I think his press conference gave a lot of information as to what his position is in the first place. Because I don't know, I was really confused. Like, what are you going to do? But he said he's just there for his opinion, right? He's going to challenge Kent. He's going to give him some different opinions, and they're going to disagree, and that's a good thing. So, and to that point, right, the familiarity is like they know each other, they understand each other, and Kent trusts Vincent trusts Kent. So like it just works. And he's been through a lot. He knows a lot. So I think it can only be a good thing. Even if he stays in Tampa, who cares? Okay, he's still involved. And he said he's going to come visit the team sometimes as well. So I think this can only be a good thing. And as for Nick Bobrov, from what I understood, he's co-director of scouting with Martin Lapointe. So Martin Lapointe would be taking North America. Nick Bobrov would be focusing more on Europe. I think that's a fantastic decision. Instead of having a guy like Trevor Timmins handle the entire operation, you split that in half and you get a whole lot more visibility. So I don't have enough good things to say about these moves. I love it.
Thanks for fixing my pronunciation. Go ahead.
I think we've learned that creating a two-headed monster right now works. So if we keep creating them, I have no issues with it. Nick Bobrov, that was the head European scout for the New York Rangers when Jeff Gorton was there. So again, another relationship that's being reunited. And we've seen the European talent when it comes to the New York Rangers. So honestly, great move in my opinion. Vincent Lecavalier did not cost us Carey Price, PK Subban, or Max Pacioretty in a first this time. So perfect move for the Montreal Canadiens. I was honestly really happy to see him sign. And like you said, Shane, he's going to challenge Kent in ways that Kent said he wanted to be challenged. So honestly, if it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well. But I don't see anything we have to lose right now. You see how it goes. And I see this as a perfect move. It's going to be great.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the record, Bobrov, I think that's what it amounts to, right?
Bobrov?
Bobrov. Welcome to the team.
Nick. Let's call him Nick.
Nick. Yeah. Welcome to the team that, as of before Gorton's hiring, was obviously a bare cupboard of scouts, talent evaluators, and trainers. Apparently there was no one doing anything to further develop players. So this is good.
That was a sad day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously, one player that is going to make some noise for the rest of the season. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. I think it's 10 points the last 5 games, 7 goals. I got that right. Cole Caufield. Yeah. Can he win the Calder? Can he make a rush to the Calder? There's no Kale McCarr this year. There's no Kaprizov. There's not quite a front runner as there has been in years past. Can he do something in the last leg of the season that captures the imagination of the voting community and gets him a tidy little Calder trophy at the end of the season?
Yeah, I'd have to say, as of right now, probably Moritz Seider is the front runner in that race with Zegras and some others in the mix. But
Lucas Raymond,
like Lucas Raymond's been nice as well. Yeah.
Detroit,
but like you said, it's not won already. It's still up for grabs, and if he can keep up that pace, it's like 8 points in 6 games. If he can keep up that pace, who knows?
Make a name for himself.
He could. It's still very much in play. It's not out of reach at all, and it's just it also depends on how the others do. Obviously, if they're more consistent than him, then okay, yeah, I get it. But if he really shows out for the next 30 so games, I don't see why not.
Do it, Cole.
I don't know if it's like, obviously it's still doable. It's not mathematically written off right now, so anything can happen. But whether he does it or not, it's just a huge boost for his confidence, and that's all that matters right now, is that he's able to find his game and apply it next season, no matter what happens, if Martin St. Louis stays or not. Perfect for his development right now. So obviously, as Habs fan, we do want it to happen. When's the last time we had a Calder winner? Years ago, so fingers crossed. But right now I'm just focusing on seeing Cole being back to being Cole and what he can do for the rest of the season. So if he wins it, perfect. If he doesn't, he gave us a hell of a run for the last half of the season.
Yeah, no, digging it. All right, last note is winning but is good, but how much of it's look at the title so big it's almost cutting Shayne off there at the bottom. We're playing the Sabres tomorrow, and it's just one of those things where I guess you just have to decide as a fan. We love seeing the team win, especially in dramatic fashion and overtime. But that draft positioning potentially looks quite tasty. So I think we'll see some real shifts here when we see people traded, which we've acknowledged is going to happen. Even if we go 50-50, 500, whatever, for the rest of the season, I think that's a good path to be on. What do you guys think?
Yeah. See, this draft isn't like next year's where the top 2 are, concession players, generational talent. This draft is okay. It's filled with good players, but there's, aside from Shane Wright, there's nobody really that stands out like, oh my God, we need him. So in a sense, it's okay if we don't get the first overall. Like, obviously we want it, especially in, the draft in Montreal, but it's a deep draft. Like, top 5 is a really good player you're getting, even top 10, I'd say. So it's not the end of the world if we move up the ranks and move down the draft ranks. But at a certain point, like, if we're really that good and we keep winning, then we keep falling down, and then we'll pick, in the middle again. And I've said it yesterday in the post-game show. It's like, so many years now we've been picking in the middle, and it's just a cycle of picking him in the middle, being a middle team. It just doesn't stop, and we can't get out of it. So I think a top 5 pick this year would help us a lot. But then next season is what I'm really worried about, because do we really want to try to be good already next year? Or do we want to make a push for Bedard or Michkov? Because those guys are worth tanking for. Like, tanking is a myth in an NHL locker room, but let's be honest, it stems from the management, right? So if Kent and Jeff start selling some players, okay, bring in some young guys, get some development, we're gonna suck, but that's a good thing. So for this year, I don't know, but next year, man, it's tempting. It is
tempting, but I'm also looking at it of, if you take a look at our past history, like we just said, we had no analytics, we had no player development team, we had nothing. So imagine if we would have had those and we were still picking an average half of a pick, we could have developed some great players. So I'm kind of thinking of the way of if we do start winning next season and we still pick halfway through a place of 500 hockey, we could develop good players and still be fine. So the winning fan in me still wants to, like, okay, next season we're back to normal. We want to win. But like you said, there's also Bedard. That's generational player. So it's tough. But as for this week, I don't know. Fan of me wants to win, but tank it.
Well, I'll say this: we definitely get more engagement on the channel when the team's winning. So it's sort of a catch-22. People like watching winners. They like talking about winning hockey, and no matter what happens,
fun to watch.
Yeah, you know what? No matter what happens, Annik, Shayne, you guys are winners, and everyone who's watching today is a winner as well. We really appreciate you watching and supporting the channel. Please hit subscribe if you are new to Habs Tonight, and drop us a comment below. Tell us how you think the shows are going. And obviously give us a thumb. It really helps us as we try to build things even further and greater. Coming up this week, we'll have post games, pre games. We're working on some new interviews as well. I'm not sure if you want to tease anything yet, Nick, but I feel like Nick Kiprasov's interview with Drew Deeks, we got more stuff kind of like that, which I'm pretty excited to share with you all. But anything else to note before we head off into the sunset today?
Saturday, February 26th. I will be at the Ottawa Senators game versus the Habs, and so will Damon. So if anybody's heading to that game, reach out to us. We would love to meet you.
We'll do a live post game with you guys too. Pre-game.
We'll definitely try to do that. But I mean, I'm pumped. I bought my tickets just recently. I was like, you know what? It's open. I'm going. I don't care. I'm driving down there, and so glad I did. Can't wait to watch the boys play in person for a very long time. It's the last game I went to watch was the home opener with you guys. So been a minute. Been a minute. Yeah.
Drop us a line at habstonight@gmail.com. We can definitely do some matchmaking there. Nick?
I can't be there, unfortunately. I already had plans, but if I did not have plans, you can bet my ass would be in the, what's it called, Canadian Tire Center now? I don't even know, but that unholy of a place. Yeah. That's where I would be.
Yeah, maybe I should go down. It's not that far. Okay, well, that's it. That's it for another great weekly roundup. I'm sure based on what we're seeing happen around the team, we'll be back a week from today. We are on Tuesday, maybe Monday next week. Just stay tuned. Until then, have a great Habs viewing week, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.